Hello, Professor. Good day, Professor. Good day, my lovely classmates. So, this is my video discussion on the do's and don'ts of assessment design and development. So, I have written down some of my points here, some of my do's and don'ts that I have come up with concerning assessment design and development. So, let's go to the do's first. So, the very first thing I think is for any assessment, clearly define the learning objectives or outcomes that the assessment is intended to measure. Then ensure that there is that alignment between the assessment content and the learning objectives. And then use a variety of question types, so don't restrict yourself to a particular type. You can use multiple choice, you can have short answer questions, you can also have essay questions so that you can assess different levels of learning. Then, number 4, we can provide clear instructions and expectations to the test takers. And then, number 5, pilot the test assessments to identify if there are any issues with clarity, difficulty, or ambiguity before the test begins. Then number 6, regularly review and update assessments to keep them relevant and effective. So it's not assessments that we used 5 years ago that we're still going to use now, so we need to update them. And then the last but not the least I would like to say is provide constructive feedback to test takers to support their learning and improvement. So these are my do's. Then let's go on to the don'ts. So for number 1, don't rely solely on a single assessment method or question type, because this is going to box in the learners. So if someone is not good in that aspect, then that means we look at her like she's not good at all. Meanwhile, there are many other aspects that she could be good in. So then number 2, don't use ambiguous or complex language in the assessment questions. And then number 3, don't allow biases to influence the design or scoring of assessments. Then number 4, ignore the cultural or linguistic backgrounds of test takers. Number 5, do not overload the assessment with too many questions or tasks that could lead to fatigue and disengagement of the test takers. And then number 6, don't neglect to provide opportunities for test takers to review and reflect on their performance. So these are my do's and my don'ts. And now let's go on to another aspect. I would like to discuss one challenging assessment writing technique and how we can improve it. So I think, in my own opinion, that a challenging assessment writing technique is crafting effective essay questions. You know, we also have that problem in my school. Sometimes I have to vet assessment questions, and the way teachers have crafted the questions, even I myself, I'm not able to understand it, let alone the learners. So sometimes we struggle with creating the prompts, essay prompts that are clear, specific, and aligned with learning objectives. And at the same time, we also want to create essay questions that can assess higher order thinking skills, such as critical analysis and synthesis. So, but the negative aspect of these essay questions is that they can be subjective. They can be very, very subjective because, there can be an inconsistency in scoring, because if we're talking about thinking skills, everybody doesn't think the same way. So based on what is written, sometimes it can be subjective. And then for improvement strategies, I think that to improve essay writing techniques, number 1, we can provide clear guidelines and criteria for responding to essay questions. Then number 2, we can use rubrics to standardize the grading and provide transparency to test takers. So everybody knows these are the rubrics. If I say list, this is what I mean. If I say describe, this is what I mean. And then another improvement strategy is that we can train the scorers, people who score the essay question so that they are able to be consistent and then they are reliable in the grading. And how can we assure validity, reliability, and rigor? So in the case of validity, we can assure validity by aligning our assessment content with our learning objectives. So we can use multiple sources of evidence to support claims about student learning. We can assure reliability by developing clear scoring guidelines and rubrics. So the mark scheme or the mark guideline, it has to be clear. And we can also assure rigor by ensuring that assessment tasks are challenging and that they require higher order thinking skills. So for me, I think that if these strategies are implemented, then educators can create assessments that are valid, reliable, and rigorous so as to provide meaningful insights into student learning. So I hope I have made some points that you have learned from, and I'll be glad to also receive your feedback based on what I have said, and I would also be looking out for your videos to also give you feedback. Thank you so much.